Thanks for everyone for coming down to Octopus Legacy's head office, and I'll take you through a few things today. So obviously we're all here to talk about AI, that's why we're here, but I thought it'd be good to explain a bit of, as CEO and founder of Octopus Legacy, a bit more about the commercial rationale of why we need AI. I know it's a buzzword at the moment, everyone's trying to do it, but also looking at through a lens of what we do. We're a legal services business, we're regulated by the SRA, we're also a financial services business regulated by the FCA, so AI may excite me as a founder, but I've also got to make sure that we control what we're doing, and I thought we'd share some use cases of what we're actually been working on. I'll go through, here we are. Right, so yeah, I'm the founder of Octopus Legacy. I'll talk a little bit about the business and then go into our services. Why are we in death tech? Why am I running it? This is my mum. Unfortunately, she died sorry to bring the mood down, but in 2016. And I'm a tech native. I love technology. It's always in my life. And when I went through the death process, it was a very archaic system, very backward. And I got a bit frustrated with it. So as founders do and entrepreneurs do, I thought I'd go at it and try to build a business. We were originally called Guardian Angel for all sorts of reasons, and then we were acquired by Octopus about 2 years ago. When we were acquired by Octopus, we were 9 people. We're now 170. When I think I booked this office 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and when I walked in here, I thought it was way too big for us because there was only a team of 40. Now we're 170, and we're going to have to move out. So anyway, so we're growing rapidly, and with scale, obviously comes complexity, and that's obviously where AI is our friend. We're part of Octopus. I'll just speak a little bit about Octopus. You'll probably know some of our companies. You may not know some of them. Octopus Investments is kind of where it all began. They're the UK's largest estate planning firm when it comes to financial asset investments. They invest in a whole range of things from special needs schools to renewable energy, which you can probably understand where Octopus Energy came along. Octopus Energy is about 7 years old. It's now the largest energy provider in the country. A big part of the growth of that business was a platform they built called Kraken, which was an AI platform before AI was a cool thing, and growing rapidly internationally. So obviously I don't have to convince the senior people at Octopus to invest into AI, but obviously a very different space to us. We have a whole other services and investment platform called Octopus Money, real estate, which does all sorts of cool things, like it's the largest affordable home builder in the country, and then a divorce company as well. So it's quite a complex group, but very fast growing and very open to AI development. Where do we fit in? Well, I mean, from a strategic level, we're trying to help people prepare for death and then find support after loss, which is our brand. Why are we doing this? In the next 15 years, 5.5 trillion, not billion, trillion pounds is going to transfer from one generation to the next. And that's a lot of money. And someone needs to help that go through. I mean, 80%, 70% of the country don't have an active or up-to-date will. That means that money is going to transfer in a non-efficient way. And then on death, that money is probably not going to be dealt with in an efficient way. So we create estate plans, which is helping people write their wills, power of attorneys, set up things like trusts, have discussions about things like inheritance tax, which thanks to the recent budgets is actually top of a lot of people's minds. And then on death, we help them with, which is called probate. So probate's kind of a two-pronged service. A lot of people have a general word for probate, which is basically all the mess that's left after death. There's a legal function, which is very regulated, which is the grant, which is allowing us as a company to access someone's personal accounts, which, as you can imagine, is quite complex. And then a general use of probate, which is basically things like selling people's properties, passing on those assets from one generation to the next. So this is kind of how Octopus Legacy fits into the strategy and what we're focusing on. But we're a legal and professional services business. We have financial service professionals and legal service professionals. And as you probably know, they don't scale. So the way normally how you grow, I mean, we are at about 170, and that is because we've got so much demand. The only way you can really solve that demand is by hiring more people to do jobs. As you can probably imagine, in certain services, it's quite hard to find good talent. And so we're really struggling to keep up with the demand growth. So we've got a massive wait. I think to get a will with us on some services can take up to 4 months. That's not ideal. And so what we're doing is really leaning into AI to be able to kind of speed up the process of writing your will. So I'll share a few stats with you. So on our biggest day this year, I looked at some numbers today. We're getting a will every 1.68 minutes. So if you compare that to an average law firm, it's very different. They might get 50 clients a week. We're dealing with a lot of volume. And these are legal documents, so they have to be drafted correctly. They can't be incorrect. You can get all sorts of issues if those wills aren't correct. And so it's a lot of volume we have to deal with. Our customer team, you think when someone writes a will, they then read the will. There's a lot of problems with that will. It didn't match exactly what they thought, or now they've thought about it. They've had a disagreement over dinner and they want to disinherit their son. All sorts of things like that can happen. They deal with our customer team, so they're dealing with about 21 hours a week on the phone. And so while they're on the phone, we're trying to make that time as efficient as possible. As you can probably imagine, we're starting to talk about where AI can come in. And we have field consultants. So a lot of clients writing their will are post 75, 80. They're not going to use a native AI app if you send it to them. They're going to want someone to write their will for them in their home. And so actually the main way you write your will with Octopus Legacy is in someone's house. We sit with them. We have a consultation like a normal lawyer would. And then on the back of that, we draft legal documents. But they drive a lot. I think I think it's in a month. Yeah, they drive at the moment, and we're growing rapidly. The distance between London and Auckland, and they do that 4 times. So our team is around the field constantly. We're trying to make that as efficient as possible, which isn't as easy as it sounds. But the issue we have, which is a good thing, is that Octopus is a human-centric company. When you call Octopus Energy, you get a human on the phone. When you call Octopus Legacy, you get a human on the phone. They want a human in someone's home. They want a human checking documents to make sure they're legal. So really, we have to lean into AI to make that as efficient as possible. This is our process, which Andrea's probably going to take you through a bit more on how we're solving this. So I'll take you through more for a commercial lens. But this is kind of the service people have to go through. They meet a consultant. We call them up to make sure that appointment went well. Did the consultant talk about everything you needed to talk about? We then draft the documents. We then verify the documents to make sure there's no mistakes. Clerical mistakes in wills can actually cause a big legal problem as well. So we make sure those are correct. We then have to send the documents out for a bunch of tech people. I know we're probably getting a bit frustrated here, but unfortunately wills have to be signed with a pen. They can't be signed online. That's the government's rules, not ours. And so ultimately we have to send documents to people's homes. It's a very traditional industry. We're trying to change it, but until we can rally the government, that's what we have to do. We then ship it to them, and then we have to then check it's been legally signed correctly. So if someone messes up the signing, which is very common, the will's not valid. So as a company who's writing those wills, you want to make sure that the customers actually have a legal process. And there's a whole bunch of rules around who can sign and how you can sign, and people mess up a lot of things. You think it'd be quite an easy process, but it's not. And so we need to make sure this is as efficient as possible. We've done pretty well. We can get that done in about 10 days. So getting a customer from the consultation in home to a delivered will that's valid, about 10 days. But we want to make that a lot quicker. We do a lot of that in HubSpot already, so we do lean on technology, but something like 266 workflows around dealing with customer service and how we can manage different scenarios and different mistakes that happen. If you mess up the signing, what do you do? What process do you go through and make sure the customer service team knows what's going on? And there's going to be a lot of investment into AI in this space in particular, because even though we're using software, it's not where we really want it to be or as efficient as we want it to be. And we want to get it from 10 days to 2 days, which is probably going to be the postal problem. So we're hoping that software will solve most of this except the actual shipping of the documents. But we're trying to get it down. And as the CEO of the company who signs off the budget, just to give you kind of where I'm looking at and why I like AI and we're trying to invest into it. At the moment, we've got about a team of 15 that deals with this from a customer service and drafting perspective. To get that down to 2 days, I'd have to hire additional people to get us to about 45. But our baseline volume is growing at 3,000%. So as a hiring manager or person that signs off hiring, that's quite scary. What I don't want to do is build a massive team and then we have to kind of shorten that team. But really what we're looking at now is we either have to hire more humans or we have to lean into technology. So for me as a leader of a company, I have to lean where I want to go. And I think to put it in perspective, it's something like a £2 million spend just to increase where we're at currently. And that's to deal with our current volume, not the volume it's going to be in 3 months if we're growing at that rate. So a serious problem for me as a leader and why I'm encouraging my team to use AI as much as possible. And that's when I'll hand over to Andrea to talk about how we're actually doing that. But thanks. Oh, you probably need my mic, do you?
No, I have a mic. Hi everyone, my name is Andrea. I am the head of technology here. I had the luck to meet Sam just over a year ago, and Sam explained to me what he was trying to do. And it was very close to my heart because I went through loss myself. I lost both of my parents, and I understood very deeply what problems Sam was trying to solve. What really got me excited was that Sam has just said that he wanted to solve these problems with technology and AI. So it was a very exciting opportunity for me. Obviously, I went the wrong way. So I think before I go into specific examples, I want to explain, just going back to what Sam said around the customer, is the center of everything we do. Our philosophy really around AI is not about replacing humans, but it's about actually empowering humans to do what they're best at. So we deal with very personal and emotional subjects when we talk to our customers, and we don't want AI, to talk to our customers. We want humans to do that. So what AI is supposed to do is actually remove all the need for manual tasks and admin, so that our colleagues who talk to the customers have the time that they need to build connections and to understand what they need and how we can best serve them. So that's our philosophy around AI, which I think is important to share. Sam has already touched on a typical journey, so I'm not going to go through the stages again, but I think what's interesting about our business is that apart from the online side of the business, which I think is also interesting, but I think is a lot more interesting how we can solve some of the problems that we have in an offline world. So the idea is that a lot of our customers want to speak to someone. They don't want to check out for a wheel on our website. So that will be either over the phone, on a video call, or in the comfort of their homes. And so what's interesting to me is how are we going to use technology to kind of solve problems in a physical world. So instead of me telling you straight away, I'm just curious from the room, like looking at our journey, so going from leads to a call to take some information and book an appointment, and then face-to-face consultation, and finally drafting a document and delivering it. Where do you see opportunities to use AI? Like, is there any idea in the room?
The consultations, if you're talking to people in person, recording those conversations, if you're going to talk to them on video or phone, having the speech to text, and then some sort of system to either connect to an MCP server and then submit API requests or fill in forms, that kind of data capture.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. A lot of hands. You want to go next?
Yeah, okay, thanks. I think it would be, my thing would be in the beginning. So for example, let's say if you approach a customer, if they want to get a will done, whatever the case is that, so at the end of the day, the human is going to be talking to your client, right? Okay. But the thing is, you can use AI in terms of while they're, instead of the legal person who's writing, distracting themselves basically from the humans, from the client. Okay, you could, let's say, there's a note-taking system, so Auto AI, I think it is.
Yeah.
So in that sort of thing. So I mean, obviously, then afterwards, afterwards, you guys could maybe just go over it afterwards.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the meeting with the client, and just verify a few things. And that sort of thing. So
thank you.
That way, you're not really distracted from, oh yeah, I have to take it down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Just in the okay, one more in the interest of time. I want to make sure we don't take too much time. Yes.
Lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you can use. A lot of the information is being submitted initially in forms, I guess, and that's where I would say AI can come in. A human doesn't need to read everything AI can do.
Mm-hmm.
Filter or summarize information and pass it on to the next stage. And potentially in the next stage where we use the initial phone call, be human.
Yeah.
If you go further down to drafting documentation, that's again where AI could come in.
Yes.
And there are already solutions in the market anyway.
Perfect. Thank you. I can see lots of ideas. So yes, effectively we can use AI. This was my way of symbolizing AI. We are going to use AI in basically all the stages. Some of these things we've already built, some we are building, and some are just ideas at the moment. When I asked Gemini to create an image of one of our consultants speaking to our customer, this is what he created, which is pretty realistic. The only thing I don't understand is why AI is written on the window. I found that funny, so I thought I would leave it in there. So basically, before I get into specific examples, I wanted to explain our approach to prototyping. So I feel like when it comes to AI, we are pretty much all newbies. Like, it's a very new thing. We know how to do prototyping, in product and software engineering very well, but with AI, it's not that simple. So I want to explain our approach. It's not necessarily the best approach, but it's what works for us. we are a very fast-paced company, so we can't afford long kind of prototyping stages. We want to learn very quickly. So we obviously, when we identify a use case, as you can see, we have many use cases. The first thing we do is actually we don't necessarily write code immediately, but we use one of the many low-code, no-code tools that you find, things like Relevance AI and things like that, to just validate the idea and see like if it actually works. Probably we find some colleagues in the business to test it out for us. And when we prove that it actually works, then we assess the kind of scalability of the solution from a cost perspective and in general from an infrastructure perspective as well. The outcomes are different. It could be that actually the idea wasn't that good, so we just kill the agent, sorry. It could be that actually it doesn't need to scale. It's maybe just one person using it every now and then. You can keep it in Relevance AI or whatever tool you're using. Otherwise, you can productionize with code, AWS, and things like that. So that's our approach, which is it's working quite well at the moment for us. I'm going to give you a few examples now. So the first one is already mentioned by some of you, from appointment to will. So when our consultants speak to a customer, they have iPads. They use iPads with an Apple Pencil because we want to keep the experience as similar as possible to pen and paper. And they use a form that has a specific template. And then what we do is we have built already an API that doesn't just do OCR. It's actually OCR powered by AI because it learns about everyone's handwriting, so it keeps improving over time if we give feedback, of course. And so basically we are able of, within seconds of extracting handwritten text into a structured format that we are going to need. We haven't built it yet, but we are going to draft wills in this way. Our approach is really the classic human-in-the-loop approach, so we are not going to be able to deliver a will without human checking on it. So we have a UI where people can go and compare the handwritten text with what the AI has extracted, and then once we draft the will as well, there's going to be a human reviewing what's been drafted by the technology. So this is one of our use cases. I'm sorry to say we moved away from extract for this one, but we can chat about that later. So this is just a demo. As you can see in our UI, so we have the handwritten text on the left, and on the right we can basically, sorry, it's actually the other way around. It's on the right, the handwritten text. On the left, we can validate that the information has been extracted correctly. So this is one of the things that we've built. The next one is from will to insight. So this is in a situation where we have an old will document that doesn't have any kind of digital version of it, but we still want to learn about the customer from that document before speaking to the customer. So normally one of our agents would need to spend the time to actually read the whole will and understand what the customer may need. What we've built with AI is basically a system where we can upload the document. We run, this one is actually with extract. We run OCR. We then use AI to tag the document, so extract some information that we want to know about the will and the customer. We generate insights as well using AI, and then we create a score that is going to tell us how commercially viable a customer is, so how much they may need one of our services, basically, so that we can also prioritize our leads. And this is also a system we've already built. This is another, so this is an example will, not a real one, don't worry. And then once we upload it onto the system, you can see that we have a summary, we have some insights, and then we also have a scoring system that gives a score of 105 in this example. Finally, it wouldn't be fair if we didn't use AI also for our development process. This is something that we haven't rolled out to the whole team yet, but we are currently testing and we are going to roll out soon. So it's basically an agent. The idea is still actually a human thing, but once you have an idea, you can start basically talking to this agent, and the agent is going to interview you to help you gather requirements about your idea. Then the agent is also capable of learning your code, ingesting the code from your repository. Currently, this works only locally, but it could work with GitHub as well, for example. And then it converts your requirements into technical specifications that can be exported in tools like Linear or Jira or things like that. And then it's also capable of breaking it down into smaller tickets. If you want to go even further, then you can use agents to write the code, but also engineers to write the code. Otherwise, what are we doing here? And then potentially even to do code reviews as well. So we really want to use AI along the whole development process. That's the goal. Here I don't have videos. I have just some screenshots. The one on the left shows the initial requirements gathered by the AI. It's also capable of creating a technical design doc with diagrams. And finally creates tickets. We use linear, so it creates them in linear. That's it. This was the presentation. Is there any question?